Alright, so this is a much faster one. I'm just going to make a tiny little micro modeling chocolate flower to go on top of the unicorn I just made. And starting by mixing some orange and yellow together just to give me a nice color for the inside of the flower. It's probably a little bit too orange. It'll do. It's just to give a slight difference in color. Taking some of the pink that I have left over from the unicorn's tongue and the ears and just mixing it with another little bit of the pink and the purple just to give me a slightly different color for the flower on it. And munch that together. It's uncharacteristically cold in the kitchen here today, so actually takes a bit of work to mix the chocolate together. So I've got my two colours. I've got my chucks cloth full of corn flour. Just dot that down. And I'll use a lot of corn flour to roll this out really thin. Now the whole idea behind these flowers is that you can make a lot of them very quickly, and they're quite delicate and they look like they're a lot more detailed than they actually are. So done. I used these on a piece that I did for the Royal Show just recently, and that just finished it off nicely. So the thing most people don't realise with modelling chocolate is you can get it really, really thin. You can use it like this to make clothing for your models. It has no real stretch, so it's pretty much whatever shape it's in, you can bend it, but you can't really stretch it too much because it'll just break. To keep it flowing like fabric, you need to keep it fairly warm. You can see there's a few spots in here where I've not kneaded the chocolate together too well. I sort of split the batch when I was putting it through. It's not the end of the world if you split your chocolate when you're putting it together. You just freeze it and knead it through again. But when I did this batch, I was making about 75 odd kilos, so the whole care factor thing went a little bit out the window there. Yeah, it's a lot of chocolate. It's for workshops and stuff. So just getting this really thin. So the biggest mistake most people make when they use click sticks, which is what this thing is, it's a cutter, or when they're using tappets, it's another kind of cutter to do letters or numbers, is they'll make their chocolate too thick or their sugar paste too thick and too stretchy. Because the chocolate's not stretchy, that's not a problem. You do need to flour your chocolate very well so it doesn't stick in the mold. And then I'm just going to cut a couple of different sizes. Squidge it round and then pull that off and pop my flowers out. It's a nice fast way of doing it in theory. So, and then, now if the chocolate was too thick, these would all stick to the mold. So that's why it's really important to have it very, very thin. And chop, click. That's why those are called click sticks. The others are tappets. They're ones where you have to really bend and you go snap, snap, snap to get them out. They don't have the little plunger at the back. So I've got my flowers there. Use a knife to move them around. So use a knife to move them around. So I'm just going to pick them up off the table with the point of the knife. And I want a couple of each size. And a couple of middle ones. And now you could use this tool from like the Wilton kit of cake decorating tools. I think it's called a Dresden tool. Got a little spoony type one on the back. But my favourite one to use is a cheap one that I got from a craft shop. It's just a clay tool, but a really cheap one. Now to shape out the petals, you need to actually warm them up a little bit or they'll crack. You just lay your finger on them, and I'm going to stretch these out to points, so go from the middle out to the outside. Oh, no, that one has broken. I'll get rid of that. Start on a fresh one. so it wasn't warm enough. So warm it up. And yeah, the warmth thing is not normally an issue in this house, but it is at the moment. So yes, we do have winter in Australia, believe it or not. So drag these out. I'm just dragging these out to a point to give it a bit of shape and interest. And I'll do that on this one as well. Warm it up first. And we're going to make the flower just by stacking all these together. So when I'm shaping these, I've got the tool very low to the board and very flat. I'm just stretching the chocolate out, or rather flattening the chocolate out because it doesn't stretch. And then to give it a little bit more shape, I'll go back the other way and it'll curl it up. Do the same on this one. You do need to do this while they're still quite warm, because as soon as they start to get cold, they'll snap. Just warm these up. You've got your little bag of powder there. Makes life a bit easier. This is one of those tools, the click stick, that I've had in my kit for ages, and I never quite knew what to do with it, because it's a fairly ugly daisy pattern, and if you just do this in fondant and you don't give them any shape, you kind of think, well, great, I've made ugly daisy confetti that's not really good for much. And I don't tend to do a lot of super pretty work or floral work, but doing a bit more with some of the cakes that I'm doing now, so especially for the Royal Show and stuff like that. Just doing that same process on all these. And this will make a lotus for us when we stick it all together, in theory. If it doesn't, we'll call it something else. It's a mystery flower, anyway. I'm just going back the other way on this one. Not sure if I need to do both of the middles, but I'll just do one. Don't need to get too ridiculous with it. And open those out. So I'm going to lose a couple of petals here because it's cold, but that's life. And flick that back the other way. Open it out. I'm going to grab a little bit of pink, warm it up. And where's my scalpel gone? I'm going to use that as the glue between the pieces. Just a tiny little dot. Use the bum end of the skewer, flour it up so it doesn't stick too much, and stack the petals together. And press it down. And use a little bit more in the middle there just to jam through the center, and that'll help to stick it. So again, I never flour things enough, so everything always sticks, but that's fine. Getting there. And next row, stick that on. Next row, that one, right in the middle. And you can just sort of give it a bit of shape. A tiny little bit of the yellow. Warm it up quite a lot. Flour the stick really well. And cut a bit off the end. dot it in the center to make the polleny bits. So I know all the technical terms here. And just tamp that down. That'll help lock it all in place. And then you've got a fairly detailed looking little lotus. And I'll stick that to the top of this horse head thing. So I'll dump that there. Heat up its head first. That's just a little blowtorch thing. And just skewer it on and press it in. Now, I can make the center of that look more natural by stippling it, so I'll just grab a little bit more, a little tiny bit more yellow, drop the yellow in the center, or off the center, flour the stick, and stipple it, and it'll look like the inside of a flower more, look quite natural. And just spread the petals out. We've got a perfect little micro flower made of modelling chocolate. There, all done. And you can use that to make camellias, or there's ways that you can make daffodils with it. Pretty much the same thing. So this is a really fine little daisy cutter, but the cherry blossom cutters work just as well. And that's all done. So modelling chocolate flowers, really, really fast, really easy, and probably finer than I can do them in sugar paste. Finer and smaller than I can do them in sugar paste. So thanks for watching.